All right. What is going on, you guys? Blaze over here, Blue Chip Athletic Club podcast. I'm excited to have back on. You may be actually the first, maybe the second recurring guest to come on the show, which is super exciting. Gordy from Real Father Figure. Before I get into his stuff too much, and I'll let you kind of go back and tell a little bit of your origin story too, again, just for people that this is the first time they're listening to you. But want to shout out partners over at First Form. Thank you guys for what you do. LogTen, our newest partnership, which is an online electronic flight book for those of you pilots out there that are looking for that. If you hit us up, we'll be able to get you 3 months into their pro subscription app. And then we're running a bunch of giveaways there too with those guys supporting all of our pilots around the world. So we're excited to launch our stuff with them. And then Sweet Perfections protein cookies. You guys know, add it to your Ninja Creamies and let it happen. But we'll throw all that stuff in the show notes and then get it going with Gordy. Dude, welcome back. Thanks for coming on.
Thank
Hit us
you.
with a little background origin story, and then we'll get into little updates on things that you've been up to, because I haven't chatted with you in a bit.
Yeah, well, first of all, I appreciate it, and it's an honor to be, I guess, one of the, you know, uh, aforementioned, the very first recurring guest. So
You're
that's
in, dude.
awesome. And I guess I did good enough to come on back. So I appreciate it. Thank you very much, and I'm excited to be here. So I'll try to keep the intro a little bit more concise this time. Essentially, what I told you last time, it'll be a little bit more condensed. Is I started an Instagram page after my first son was born. I just had this feeling within me that I needed to do a little bit more. I am also in the Coast Guard. I am also an officer. I just do not fly planes. I am a finance guy. So I was just looking to expand myself a little bit more in an area in which I thought um, I had some strength, and that was in the health and fitness realm. I had gotten into coaching a little bit at a gym, so I just opened up an Instagram page and just started posting just to try to encourage fathers to do the same, right? To get a little bit more fit, to raise the standard a little bit within their own households, and to lead by example. And I'm a firm believer in that. And that's just the message that I started with is the message that I have continued forward to this day. So that is where I'm at.
Yeah, dude. It's super cool to see kind of the character arc of where, like, starting things, and then you're kind of probably in the middle now, and hopefully get to do it for as long as you kind of want to. But it's awesome to watch what you've done kind of improve, and we have very similar, I think, training philosophies. You probably lift a little heavier weight than I do nowadays. I don't know if I'm loading up barbells the same way you are, but
I don't know about that.
yeah, man. It's been super cool to watch, and I thank you again too for popping on. And just because you're a finance guy doesn't mean that you don't have big things to offer the world too. Man, you're handling the big beautiful bill, all that big money that's coming down to the coast.
Yeah, the reconciliation money.
That's
Yeah,
right.
no, I work with the 1 year money pretty much. So, all that government shutdown stuff is definitely affecting my office right now. But the beautiful thing of it is right now I am on some paternity leave. So that was previously already planned, not just because of the government shutdown. So I'm on a few weeks here of paternity leave, and I'm enjoying it while I got it.
Nice, man. Yeah, and for those of you that don't know, we are recording this episode on October the 10th, which we are still amid the government shutdown of 2025, where Gordy and I are both not getting paid that need to work. And I guess you're not so essential because you're on paternity leave, but they say that our
Right.
job is still essential. I've actually been seeing crazy stuff like TSAs. Some people aren't going into work, which is nuts. We don't need to get super political because this is a podcast about health and wellness and not necessarily politics, but pretty crazy times that we're in for sure that definitely could, eventually affect somebody's health, whether that be mental, stress, all those types of things too. But dude, tell me, baby number 2 has come out. What's been the new shift? I see that you've been doing a ton and running. You're looking pretty lean out there too, man. Tell me how that character arc has been of your, like, leaning into the we'll call it the High Rocks cult following that we were kind of mentioning before the call.
Yeah, yeah. So yes, we did have baby number two. I think right before, yeah, we had recorded episode number one that I was on right before we were about to have baby number two. And I had this preconceived notion that I was going to have a little bit of time and a little bit of time to basically kind of work on the fitness and training aspects, and hopefully to, start coaching others and helping out others along the way. And little did I know what the term reflux meant. And I found out real quick because baby number two, Cade, we love him. God bless him. He is an awesome special baby, but he has what's called reflux. And for those that don't know, that it's basically just a digestive issue, where the acid that is in his stomach wants to come up all the time, at all hours of the day. So you can imagine a little baby going through, some aches and pains, uh, to put it lightly, along the way. It has definitely thrown us for a loop because our first child did not have that. And so the first 3 months of his life, he was crying all the time. We just recently got him on some medication, which has been life changing for us and for him. And it's not the fix all. I think only time is going to be the fix all in development for him. But it has at least gotten us to a point where we can sleep at night a little bit more and we can go through waking periods without getting screamed at all the time and, having to sit there rocking him the whole time. So, needless to say, thank goodness for modern medication in this regard. Uh, let's see. Along the fitness realm, you are correct. I have been training for a High Rocks. I had previously planned to do High Rocks Chicago in November 15th. So I'm going to go from sunny South Florida all the way up to frigid Chicago that weekend and try to compete solo. And I think the very first time that you and I ran into each other was at the Miami High Rocks. So it's kind of coming full circle with the whole High Rocks and you and I connecting and everything right now. So,
Yeah, dude, it's
um,
it's funny. Like, obviously, not the first time that we had run into each other ever, but the first time in recent history where we just end up popping in and then snapping a photo where Gordy makes me look small next to him, making sure that he's asserting that his dominance. But no, it's cool, man. I'm excited for you to go up there and compete. I did it the other way. I did my first one was a solo race, and my second one was
okay,
pairs.
okay,
And then I'll probably end up doing the one in Phoenix, I think, is going to be the end of January, beginning of February, and I think I'm going to go do that one with one of my business coaches. Um, but yeah, dude, what a weird like traveling circus thing where people decided they're going to go out and just like compete in this race that never changes. It's like the same exact thing. Gyms have started to become like affiliates of them. Like it's been like
yeah.
this crazy boom of, and it's like hard to get like tickets to go now. It's, and like if you've done one before, you get priority. It becomes like really, really odd, I feel like, for the masses to be like, what are we doing here?
Very true. Very true. I actually got my ticket through a guy who goes to an affiliate gym. Like that's how I was able to get my ticket for Chicago. So yeah, I just knew somebody who, just had the connections. And I could probably have gotten a ticket on my own, but I wasn't going to risk it just because we had already planned on it. But Phoenix sounds like it'll be exciting. Yeah, that'll be fun. But yeah, you are correct. It is a cult-like following right now. Um, I don't think that there is anything wrong with the standardization of it, though, the fact that it just does not change. I think the only thing that about it, if and correct me if I'm wrong, is just like the way that they set up each convention center or whatever, how the run is going to be, where you're going to enter and exit through what they call the rock zone. And this podcast doesn't need to be about high rocks by any means, but it's something that you and I connected on. But I think that that's the only thing that they change is basically the layout. But for the most part, it's all one common standardization, and I kind of like that aspect about it because you know exactly what's going to happen, you know exactly what to prepare for, and if you're going in to compete, then you know exactly what you're competing to do, and then if you're just going to have fun, then again you're going exact, you know exactly what you're going to go into, So, just to finish. So I think that there is almost a beauty in that, and you're just competing against yourself, really.
Yeah, it's like you're not people sign up to run a marathon or a half marathon and they know exactly
Yeah.
what they're getting into, right? They've been able to prepare and train or not do that, and then they know how it's going to go after the point or after that fact. But this is the same thing where like you're doing some functional fitness movement patterns that I think for the most part are relatively safe. Pushing and pulling a sled is pretty safe. Farmers carries, lunges, the injury rate at High Rocks, and I have not looked this up. I probably should have before we popped on, but like I would assume is much lower than the injury rate of something like CrossFit or something in those realms because a
Right.
skier, a rower, I mean, those things are lower impact. Running is obviously slightly higher impact, and don't get it twisted, people. Like this is a running race. I don't think
Oh,
I realized
100%.
Oh, dude, I don't think I realized until after my first one, but like I did the race, and we may have talked about this before. And we are going down this path, so if anybody wants to, skip forward ahead in this, you can. But I did the race, and I like finished. My goal was under an hour and a half when I did it by myself, and I think I did it like an hour and 23 minutes. So I was super stoked, but I didn't realize how tired I would be when I was running. And I think that like I finished and then I watched the pro guys go. And I think I may have told you this in our episode before about how like my ego was like, oh dude, you sign up for the pro. Like you want the heavier weights, you're a fit person. You literally do this for like a job. Like how are you not going to sign up for the pro weights? And
Right.
I took their quiz, and this is the craziest part is that they used to have it on the website. I don't know if they have it anymore, but it was
They
like
do.
sign
They still
in.
have it.
Oh, they do. Great, great. So they
Yep.
sign in. They're like, okay, we're trying to place you in your division. How often do you train? How often do you run? Have you done one before? They ask you like maybe 5 questions, and it popped out, and it was like you should compete in the open. And I was like, are you kidding me, dude? Like, is
Yep.
this a joke? Like, give me the heavier weights. And I was all like offended that they put me in that. And then of course I compete, and I'm like, that was probably one of the hardest races I've done ever, an hour and 20 some odd minutes of basically like redlining for
Yep.
me. And then and then I watched the pro guys go, dude, and it was like the scene from Lion King where the like wildebeest come down the hill and you're just
Oh,
standing
yeah.
there like
Oh,
hoping to not
yes.
get hit, dude. It is wild. Those guys
Oh,
run
yes.
at like a 5 minute or 5:30 mile pace on all of their runs. So they just do
Yes.
a bunch. They do, let's call it 80 burpee broad jumps. It's probably somewhere like 60 to 80. And then they're running a 5 minute mile, bro. You're out of your mind. Like that's
Oh, yeah.
unreal. And everybody who's good at it, I think elite at it, I guess I should say, most guys are built like a 400 or 800 meter sprinter. I feel like they're like just lean enough that they're like able to like run fast, but just
Hmm.
muscular enough that they can still like move the weight.
That's
And
true. Yep.
it's not until like I saw that I was like, man, for me, it's the stations were almost like the break and the running was the work. So before my second one, I like did way more running. I think I focused probably, I don't know, half to maybe like 5/8 of my effort was probably in the running regime. And I
Yep.
would do days where I
Yep.
specifically did like slow runs and then intervals and all those things. And then my
Oh,
second
yeah.
race was like so much better because one, it was partners and I had to do half the work. But
Yep.
two, my runs were way better. And maybe you'll feel that way too, because I know that you've been running a ton. I'm excited to hear about like what you learned from the first one to push you to that, to then do this second one solo and then hit it. So tell me a little bit about like how that's looking for you.
So I very similar. I've really kind of constructed my training around running more so than anything else. And I've run basically every other day, which has, surprise, surprise, helped me to run better. Uh, it's a really weird concept where if you do it more, you get better at it. Uh,
Uh,
and it's just one of those things where I, first of all, I hate to run. So don't get it twisted. Like if you see me going out, on my Instagram posting about my run, there's no part about me that likes to do it. I have never liked running. Both my parents were actually runners growing up, which, believe it or not, you would think would like have rubbed off
Rub
on me.
off.
Like that was the yeah, that was the way that they, were very physically fit. And I've always hated it, Blaze. I've always hated running. Running distance, I was never really like a fast sprinter by any means. My athleticism was more so like throwing, a football and throwing a baseball and just kind of being more of a bigger guy. So, you know, I just always hated distance running. But, believe it or not, the more that you do it, the better that you're gonna get at it. So I just started doing. uh, I'm comfortable at 2, 3 miles. That's kind of where I started, I would say, I don't know, 4 months ago. Um, and so I kind of said to myself, all right, I need to be able to comfortably be able to run 5 miles basically at like a zone 3, you know what I mean? To where I'm kind of pushing myself and I'm kind of driving my time down a little bit because that's basically what high rocks is like 5 miles of you're kind of trying to push yourself and then you're doing exercises in between. So I've finally gotten to that point now to where I can actually hold, under an 8-minute pace, at least for, 3, 4 miles. And, I'm really kind of banking on a little bit of an adrenaline rush on race day to kind of
It'll
let
come.
me
It'll
get
come.
get through the rest.
Yeah, no,
So
dude, I saw it, man. I want to say I saw like a run that you threw up there that was like you run like a 740 or so for like 4 or 5 miles. I was like, dude, that's cooking, man. For people that don't
yeah,
know, like people that run, like look at that and they're like, that's pretty fast, like good. Maybe like really elite runners, like no, it's not that whatever. But like I think the other thing that's important is what's your average heart rate during that whole time. And if you're somebody who's holding like hey, your average heart rate's around like a 140 and you're running that fast, it's like, dude, you're like almost like coasting. You're pushing a little bit, but you're really, really able to manage that. And that's what counts, right? Because if you're able to do that on the run, kind of recover a bit, and then move into like the movement patterns, then you're going to be good to go, especially if that's what your base is. Dude, tell me like, I'm so curious because I have been somebody who also hates to run. And again, like you kind of said, the more you do it, the better you get, the more you kind of like it. But
hmm
tell me, like, what are some things that have helped you build your base a bit other than just practice and then keep you engaged too? Cause like, I've got a couple things that I found that's been really helpful for me personally to be able to run more effectively. But I'm curious to hear like some things that you've seen be successful to help that time whittle down, and then see kind of what it looks like for you.
yeah. I actually saw one of your ideas was like throw a ball like while you're running. That's a great idea. I actually never thought about that one. Let's see. For me, it was more the variation of it. I felt like was better for me. So, like I said, I've been running every other day almost, and like I just did a long run yesterday that was like a little over 8 miles, which is, that's a very long run for me. And so the next run, what I'll probably do is just like a standard like 4 to 5 mile run and try to go a little bit faster. See where my time is going to be, and then the next run I'll do a kilometer run and then a skier and then a kilometer run and more high roxy type of running style to where it's like broken up. And the variation of it is kind of what has driven me and helped me along the way. I either vary the distance or the intensity, or I will try to vary doing something in between. And I think that kind of alludes to what you were kind of pointing out, your interval workout. I think that was this morning, right? If I'm not mistaken, your
Yeah.
interval workout. Yeah, I mean, if you can break it up a little bit, it kind of helps. Some days I just kind of got to grit my teeth and I'm like, all right, I have to go 5, 6 miles straight. I just go do it, just have the discipline to do it. Um, but that's kind of what's driven me. And then also, and this kind of goes without saying, is when you start to see yourself get better at something, you kind of start to like it more because you're like, oh, this is finally paying off. This is great. I'm no longer, huffing and puffing a bunch of wind running a 9-minute pace. I am, able to actually sustain under an 8 minute pace for a couple of miles. You know, it's seeing yourself progress in anything is really gonna help motivate you. It's more of a self-fulfilling prophecy there, but the variation for me has been really, I think, what set it apart. That, and then also, you know, making sure that you have proper running shoes. I think a lot of people go on runs and they don't have actually good running shoes. So for me, I have wide feet. I just looked up on, I think I looked up on Google, you know, a wide toe, uh, durable running shoe that you can go, you know, extended miles. I could not recommend doing that more for anyone that is thinking about starting running. Get yourself a decent pair of shoes because it will make the difference. And running in your CrossFit hybrids or whatever it is, I'm telling you, that is not going to get it done. And you will be miserable because your feet are going to bear the brunt of everything. It's a lot of pressure going on your feet and your ankles and your knees. And a proper running shoe is going to help, you know, stave off some of that impact that you're feeling on your joints.
Dude, I can't echo what you said enough. And I say variance, like first point, I want to talk about like all those things. You hit on like so many good things there. First point of like training and varying the things that you do to keep you engaged. Gosh, dude, it's so important. Like if you're somebody who can wake up and do the same thing every single day, like kudos to you, bro, because I like cannot. That is why I say like I would probably struggle to do a marathon. Something that I think I want to do at some point, just because it's something that's hard and it would challenge this part of me. But like learning to be able to do one thing for this extended period of time is super challenging. So yeah, how do you do something that you're not super into and you continue to show up? We'll vary it. Like building some sort of like reward system is another thing that I've seen be super successful, whether that's with me or with clients. Like, hey, on your running days, maybe those are the days that you reward yourself with like a dessert that night, or maybe that's the day that you like come back and you have a breakfast that is pancakes versus protein shake and eggs, or whatever the thing becomes, like that you can start to use to incentivize yourself. And then it's tied to that good feeling and that emotion. And it's not necessarily going to, change a ton right away. But as you start to do it more and more, again, you start to build that motivation, you get better. You start to see times come down. The other thing for me that I didn't find or I didn't realize is that for me to improve at running, it wasn't like push myself 100% on every single run. And that's something for me that was like so hard to understand. It's like when I go and train, when I go and do anything, like I want to like go out, and if I'm not like dying at the end, like I probably didn't do it right. And in running, it couldn't be further from the case. Like you need to understand, one, listening to your body is important. Learning how to do that is important. But two, like most of your runs are probably going to be, I'd say 80% of your runs are not that. They're not that like huge push. They're not that thing. And it's important to test and retest and understand where that's at. But like if every single time you're coming back from a run and you're like dying, like it's not going to be something that helps you in the long run, which is why the interval sprints, and you alluded to heart rate. We've done an episode on here about heart rate zones, but realistically, you can think of it as like, hey, you can comfortably breathe, uncomfortably breathe, and then you're like panting. And it's like understanding the difference in what your body's doing and all those is so important too. And then, yeah, dude, talk about like buying a pair of running shoes. Oh my gosh. Like so key. Talk
Yeah.
about an elite runner. And this is somebody who has listened to us for a bit, probably knows a story that I'll tell really fast and I'll let you chime in. I used to, and still do, train in barefoot training shoes when I'm lifting.
Yep. Me
And
too.
I started to do that. And I started then on a dunk training program where I'm trying to increase my vertical to be able to dunk a basketball. Now, I tell everybody I'm 6 foot in heels. I'm really like 5'11" and a quarter. So for me to get up there and dunk a ball, I got to get up there. And I'm a 200-pound dude. So there's no ifs, ands, or buts. Like I've got to build some spring. And it's something I'm still working on. I'm getting closer and closer, by the way. But
I believe that you're going to do it.
Yeah, thanks, dude. When I started to train, I was doing a bunch of plyometrics in those barefoot training shoes. And I went from doing nothing in them except for like, lifting and like some very, very mild running. I would say I call it like mild, like 100 meters at a time, like 2 or 3 times in a workout was it. And then I went to doing all of these plyometrics in it, which totally changes everything for one, your feet, your body, all those things. And I like over impacted my feet to where I like damaged them for almost like an entire year because I did not have the proper shoes to really help do that type of training. So to echo what Gordy is saying, getting yourself a pair of running shoes is so, so important. Training shoes for the thing that you're doing is so important. And if you want to be one of those minimalist people utilizing these zero drop shoes, like work into that. Like maybe not go full bore right away into doing plyometrics. I know there's guys that do plyometrics in those types of shoes, or they do it barefooted. What they didn't do is they didn't do 2-a-days doing it for a month straight and then think that that was going to work. That's what Blaze's dumb brain thought, like, oh, I could just do this in these shoes and this is going to work for me. It did not. So taking that information. And then the other thing I didn't realize too, back to the running shoes in particular, is that your running shoes need some space. Now, as somebody who wore cleats, and I know you did as well playing sports growing up, you wanted your cleats to be pretty tight. You didn't want a bunch of wiggle room because then when you make a cut, your foot's sliding inside. It feels super weird.
Correct.
But running shoes, dude, you need like room at the end of the toe. They say like a thumb, half a thumb or thumbnails distance at the end because your feet swell. It's good for your feet to be able to come down a little bit into the shoes. And all of this was so foreign to me. So I went to a store and I actually had one of those foot scanners, stood on that thing. You walk across it, you do the whole thing. And they're like, we think you should buy these shoes. And I put them on. Smart. Dude, I put them on. The lady goes, hey, how do these feel? I'm like, oh, they fit perfect. And she's like, they're too tight. I was like, what? She's like, bro, I run. Like, she's like somebody who like ran, you know, like we're average shitty runner. She was like,
100%.
And she's like, they're too tight. And she's like, oh, you played sports and you like work out, huh? And I'm like, yeah, why? And she's like, yeah, well,
you can't tell.
You can't. Yeah. She goes, you need like room because your feet swell. They need to be able to move. And then what it does, it like preserves your feet by doing that. And oh my gosh, dude, I was like, no way, this lady doesn't know what she's talking about. I bought the ones that she wanted me to buy that were a half size bigger. And it was the best decision that I had ever made to just like put my preconceived notion aside and listen to the expert. So for anybody out there who's like, dude, my feet hurt when I run, like check your feet, check your shoes, dude. Check your shoes.
See, and for everyone else that's listening out there, even coaches need coaching right there. There you go.
100%. Yeah, dude. So funny. Yeah. And I'm excited too for you to do the race by yourself. I mean, it's exciting. Like there was definitely, there's moments when you're doing it with somebody else where you're able to like look over and be like, yeah, dude, let's do this thing, you know, but when you're doing it alone, you're the man in the arena and
it's all on you. And that's pretty much why I wanted to do it is I was like, you know, I did the partner thing. Kind of got to scratch the itch, kind of got to get the competitive juices flowing again and, you know, just compete against myself. So yeah, that's kind of just been the goal really is just see if I can go out there and perform pretty well. And hopefully I will.
Put it out there, dude. What's the goal? What's the time goal?
It's a little steep. I'm hoping for a 110. Hour and 10 minutes.
Bro. That's cooking. Yeah.
I think that what helps is, you know, I kind of think to myself, it's like probably an average, because I think about ski erg and row erg, an average of like 4 minutes to get those done, right? So if you think of all the stations that way, you know, you kind of cut down on time with like the farmer's carries, probably cut down on a little bit of time right there at the wall balls, maybe, hopefully, as long as I can maintain my breath. The burpees, just keep going, you know, that there's some strategies built in to where I'm like, all right, I think I can shave, you know, a little bit of time here, a little bit of time there.
And you've been running, bro.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's just like, you know, maintaining that higher heart rate, and because I have been running, so hopefully it'll play to my strengths. And I think the sled push and sled pull, like some people get a little bit too into that. You know, for a guy like you and me, who's 200 pounds, I think it's a little bit easier just because you can kind of throw your weight at those things. So it's, you know, it's all about playing to your strengths. Like you said, the pro guys, those guys are probably all like, I don't know, buck 75, buck 80 at the most, and they're flying around the track. Well, I'm not going to be flying around the track by any means, but hopefully I can play to my strengths a little bit because, I'm still sitting at like 205, 210-ish, depending on the day.
Yeah, the I think you'll see because you dedicated so much time to the running, I feel like you'll see that it's definitely better for you, and there'll be improvements from that. I think it's like there's no way to get around the fact that it's a running race. I mean, if you do the math, like you said, it's about 5 miles of volume, and every other thing is 4 to 5 minutes maybe at a station. And all the running is everything else. So,
Oh, big time.
maybe you have 35 or 40 or so minutes doing stations, and then however long you're doing the rest of it for, an hour for some people, 45 or so minutes for the rest. That much of the race is that. So it deserves that much more of your attention. And I think that you'll see, like, you'll probably have a lot more kind of in the tank. And I think when I saw you running around there, it looked like you were kind of ready for more too. You're kind of ready to get
Yeah,
let the
yeah.
foot gallop a little bit
Yeah,
more when
so
we were running
I
the
think I
track.
told you the first time that my partner he was the one, it was his idea to get him into running and to get him a little bit into more shape. Is he signed us both up so that we would do it, and he is definitely not built like a runner at all. He's he's absolutely stacked, and if he listens to this, then he will always take those words, and he'll remind me that I called him absolutely stacked. But it's true, he is, and he's more of a rugby style, like a fullback style, if you will, maybe more of a like a middle linebacker built than anything else. So running was not his strength, and he was kind of huffing and puffing. So to get across the finish line for him was like the ultimate goal.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm like, all right, well, time to scratch the itch, like I keep saying, and go compete and go have some fun.
Yeah, dude. Talk to me a bit. You've started to kind of expand, I feel like, and I did not see a bunch of the stuff that you had put out because I did my 75 hard kind of thing and was off
Which
of
I
the
want to
all
ask
the
you about that a little bit
yeah,
too.
yeah, we can
Yeah.
talk about it for sure. I did like off of the socials for that whole time too, which I think for me was really helpful, but like seems like you've been getting chipping away and kind of making it happen. And even though now you've got to not only keep one kid alive, you got to keep two kids alive. So how has that been like in this new phase of have a kid with, and you said you called it reflux, but I know the street name is colic. And I
Yep.
know that
Yep.
because you told me about it, and I was like, oh, my parents told me that I had that when I was a kid, and they said I was a demon. So um, sorry, mom,
Yeah, it's a
if
little
you ever do
tough.
listen to this. Yeah, sorry. But yeah, dude, tell me about how that's been because I know it's hard. Like, you're essentially, and I know that you may not be like coaching officially or anything like that, and maybe we could talk more about that too. But it's still like a job to a degree and something that you're kind of enjoying doing. So how have you been able to balance that with the added responsibility? And then, as you start to help more and more people, they're probably like, dude, maybe you should coach me, or maybe they're like trying to help, manage their time or be better parents or whatever their kind of thing becomes. So tell me how that's been for you over the past couple of months. Well, I don't even say that. Like, it's like, hey, you've got two kids now. You've grown. Like things that have happened. In the online space as this person who's trying to help dads that are around there, like kick the dad bod thing. Like tell me how that's been like with the added responsibility, and then also with you know uh with not keeping one kid alive but two, and all that stuff. So
Yeah. Yeah. Well, to say that it's not tough would be a lie. Um, you know, because I I think a lot of people like that post about their fitness journey and stuff, they kind of say, hey, if you're dedicated enough, you'll find a way. And that is very true. I totally adhere to that. But it is very tough and it makes you really re-rack your prioritization of everything that you've got going on in your life. So, my priority is going to always be family first, right? And it's going to be wife, kids, whatever they got going on, and then making sure that my house is, in good order. and then getting in my workout, and then anything after that is, obviously my job too. But right now I'm on leave. But it's basically just learning to re-rack all your priorities, and you're right with the uh, added baby in the mix. The time has only dwindled in terms of free time. So what I've found is if I'm gonna have to give up on a little bit of sleep in order to go get my workout in, that's what I'm gonna have to do. Or if I have to, even if I have to go later at night, then that's exactly what I'll do. It's trying to find the balance between what the priorities are and how can I fit it in. And if it's worth the time, then I'll find a way. Um, Posting on social media, man. I mean, it is a beast of its own. I think we kind of got into it a little bit on our last podcast, but I've kind of been a little bit stagnant there. And again, that's just because the prioritization of posting on social media is low on the totem pole. So like maybe some days I'll just do like one story or a couple story updates or something like that to just try to, keep anybody that wants to pay attention, informed about what's going on. And then if I can work a post every other day or something, then I will. But, the prioritization is always going to be family, making sure the house is in order, get the workout in, and then, posting is like down there. You know what I mean? Because actually getting the workout in, that's really what I care about. And I made the accounts to try to set an example about how I do work out and how I do manage and balance a little bit. But at the end of the day, that's going to be low on the totem pole. So I don't know. It's a very wordy way of saying every day is a little bit different. And as long as I'm keeping my priorities straight, that's really all that I care about. Now, as far as coaching goes, I thought that I was going to have so much more time with the new baby. You know what I mean? You take some initial time off, and as the dad, well, you don't really have the wherewithal to feed the baby right away, right? So you're kind of stuck in no man's land, and you're helping out everywhere you can, but that's one area that you cannot help out in. So, when we had baby number one with Hudson, that's when I started my Instagram page. So I kind of thought to myself, maybe I'll see a little bit more time for growth and, get on Trainerize, get my programs up and running and all that sort of stuff. And I found out really quick that I don't have the time to do that, and I'm not willing to re-rack my prioritization of family first, get the house in order, and get my workout in because those things are really what are most important to me. So now that he's finally in a decent phase, we'll see what we can do there. But again, I've kind of learned that if I don't have my own self in order, then how am I supposed to help out anybody else? Now, face-to-face interaction, like if I'm talking to somebody in the gym and, they're asking me for advice or anything, I mean, it's, the time is already there. I'm already there and I can talk to somebody and give them, general advice and help them out. Or if I'm, at like some sort of random social gathering, and these days that's more like birthday parties for kids and stuff like that. And somebody asked me, hey, what should my nutrition be, or how could I implement like an extra workout in the week? Like I'm all there. And I'm definitely willing to give my advice, but on the day to day scheduling out and being able to help out clients, I just, it hasn't really been there for me. So it kind of sucks in that regard, just because I want to and I want to keep making an impact. But for now, the uh, media of choice that I have the wherewithal to do is via social media. And I know that not a lot of people want to hear that because they don't really like social media, but that's all I got time for, really, at this point in time. So I don't know. I mean, I don't want to
Yeah,
talk in
dude. No,
circles too much about
I get
that.
it, man. What I think is funny, and my business coach actually says all the time, is like you never have more time in your life than you do like right now. And whether you're 5 years old or whether you're 85 years old, like that is true. The best time to plant the tree was 20 years ago. The next best time is right now. Like you see like all these people like giving the same bit of advice, and it's like, hey, you have like more time now. And then, 5 years from now, you're like, man, I wish like 5 years ago I'd have done this. And then I had so much free time back then, and all those things kind of happen. It's like, well, you just you start to parse out the things that like don't make the cut, like here's a great example for me. I'm like a early riser kind of guy, because if I go into work and I haven't like moved around a bit or had a little bit of time to myself, like I feel like somebody's already biting for my time. And I haven't
Yes.
even had the opportunity to like, I'll call it fill my cup up for lack of a better term, but like whether that's move or write or read or whatever that thing is. And I found that that's been really helpful for me to do pretty much every day. Now, if I don't do that, I feel like I am worse off. So now, especially living on the East Coast, where it's East Coast sports and Monday Night Football or Sunday Night Football starts at 8:15, bro, I'll watch. I might not even turn the game on anymore. Like it's something that I'm like, I would rather go to bed and be able to be up and do my routine at 4 or 4:30 in the morning than like
Yep.
stop and watch this game until midnight or beyond, and then be either one, sleeping in and not being able to do that thing in the morning, or two, feeling like absolute dog water at 4 in the morning, and then trying to go and perform in a training session or something like that. So like the reality is we in this house don't watch a lot of TV, and that was the first thing that was like, yeah, but that falls off, and like to me that doesn't necessarily matter. Like I'd rather be outside and moving around or playing sports or doing whatever. But if you start to kind of audit your time, it's like, man, like how much time do you spend in front of the TV? Do you have one in your bedroom that you're using? Do you, are you scrolling on your phone for, you can go on the app and be like, look at your screen time. And a lot of people would probably be appalled at how much screen time they have on their phone to be like, oh, do you actually have the time or do you not? So I think it's just interesting as you talk to somebody like you, and I don't have kids right now. So I'm trying to even more so like pump more of my time into this thing that I'll call, for lack of a better term, like my business baby that I've like tried to
It
build
is your
and
business.
cultivate.
Yeah.
To then be like, hey, once it gets to this point, I start having these change of priorities. Like I know how to manage the time because I had to juggle all this stuff over the course of the time. So yeah, it's interesting to hear you say like, oh, and you'll probably laugh when you hear yourself say, when I have the second baby, I'll have more time, because I'm like, oh man, this guy's crazy. This is gonna
Yeah. I
work
don't
for
know
sure.
what I was thinking. Yeah. I mean, because we have a 2.5-year-old and and a brand new baby, and it's just like, no, if anything, you have less time. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
there's challenges and everything, but yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. I think that you're doing the right thing. You've already established, you've set the foundations for what the business really is becoming, which is huge. And because, as you can see with me, I feel like I'm riding the struggle bus a little bit in terms of like where I would like to take this. Because I think eventually, overall, what I really am most interested in is making an impact and just building a brand and building the awareness of more of a movement. You know what I mean? If I can have an impact, just make some people realize like, hey, this guy isn't all, dog shit with everything that he says, and he is doing it himself. They can look at me and say, maybe I need to move a little bit more and make more of an impact on my kids. That's honestly where I find the fulfillment. Um, and if people come to me and they say that, hey, like your stuff has gotten us to move a little bit more, that's honestly what the whole purpose was. So, I could sit here and think about like different ways in which I want to take it, but really what it boils down to is I just want to make an impact that way. Just lead by example, and plain and
yeah,
simple.
dude. Yeah, and that I think is something that people in this space, whether it's I don't know, healthcare practitioners or whomever else, like they could take a page out of the playbook, right? Like how many times have you been into the office, in a doctor's office or whatever, and you're seeing somebody who is trying to tell you or tell somebody that you know or care about or whatever that they need to go do something, and then they're super overweight and they're not able to manage their own house and their own, they're pre-diabetic or whatever the thing becomes. And it's like, how do you do that when you're supposed to be the knower of all things? And it's like it's one thing to know, it's another thing to do. And I think like the
Yes.
doing is tough because you're setting the time apart. You're able to run multiple times a week. You're improving in some way, and you're also showing up for family. You're doing all this other stuff that's kind of intangible. So yeah, man, I'm excited for you. I think that you've got a lot of ability to make that change. The other thing that I want to stress and emphasize is that something that I've kind of figured out is 95% of the time, actually probably 99% of the time, you won't even know that you made the effect. Like people will like be like, "Oh, dude, I like started watching your stuff like 5 years ago, and then like you made me like this, and then now that like I used to look like this and I now look at like this, and it's because I've
Yeah.
been like silently following your stuff." And they may have
Yeah.
not even liked a single thing that you've thrown up there. And it's like, hey, they've just been appreciative and then taken some of the information that you're giving out there for free, which again, if you guys aren't following Gordy, you should. All of the information that he's putting out there, workout schemes, running stuff, whatever is free. Then you making that impact, and somebody's going to come to you or maybe never come to you and say that you've changed the trajectory of their life and gave them a more wholesome, maybe more confidence. Maybe it's showing up better for a kid, setting an example. Maybe it's they ended up living a longer life, which is crazy to think about. But like at the end of the day, early intervention in your 30s, in your 40s, for a healthier journey, by the time you're 80, maybe you're the guy dancing at your birthday party and not in a wheelchair. And that's something that
Yeah.
like people may not be able to tangibly like put two and two together, but that's the reality of what's going on.
Yep, exactly. I mean, we're all gonna die at some point in time, right? Like that's inevitable. Um, and there's no escaping that. But I think I posted something like this morning. It's, fitness doesn't have to be your whole life. That's not what I'm asking anybody to do, but fitness in your life is what's going to help make it whole. You know what I mean? So it bleeds into everything else that you do. It'll bleed into your job. I guarantee you better performers are a little bit more physically fit, or at least they have the determination and the discipline to go out and do that, which means that they'll have the determination and discipline to finish tasks or, ask questions or, do the hard stuff, and they'll be able to stick with it. Um, into your job, into your family, everything. And it's just such a great example to set, especially obviously what I do is I cater to dads, and that's really, I'm hoping that eventually, like what you're saying, that it'll transform at least one life, hopefully multiple. That'd be great. I mean, same thing with you. Like you're in the coaching space, you see it. Like, dude, you could walk into a grocery store or the mall or wherever you're walking in any public space, and I guarantee you there are so many people that you can just visibly see that could use any form of physical or mental coach at all, period. And it doesn't mean that like you or I or anybody like in the fitness space is asking these people to transform their life to just be this fitness person and go get jacked and go do a bunch of fitness competitions. Like that's not what we're asking. What we are hoping for is that a little bit of the discipline rubs off on you, that you start to take ownership of where your life is going. You only have one body in this world, and why would you waste it? You know what I mean? It is a beautifully functioning body that you should treat as a beautifully functioning body. Don't treat it as something that's just a garbage can, I guess, in for lack of a better term. And a lot of people are either they don't know because they think that the barrier to entry is too high and that they have to know every single fitness aspect that there is in order to get started. And that's completely false. I mean, I'm sitting in a chair right now. If I stand up out of the chair, which, I'll get out of the screen, but if I stand up out of the chair and then sit back down and stand back up and sit back down, that's called a squat. That's all it is, right? I mean, it's simplifying those things for people to realize, oh, you know what? I could do that. I could break a sweat doing that. That's, that seems easy. It's kind of dumbing it down and making it so that something that is a little bit complicated, it's really not. It's just move a little bit more, and I hope that that helps to transform some lives. That and then um, I wanted to ask you about this. Is I tend to notice that it's not just with your free time and stuff. It's a barrier to entry for some people, and correct me if I'm wrong if you're seeing something different, is like a monetary value associated with physical fitness, right? Like I think that some people have this preconceived notion that you have to spend hundreds of dollars or thousands of dollars a month. Untrue. And I was just curious, it seems to me like everyone wants the Planet Fitness price, uh, and then they want the Mr. Olympia results, and like that's like two completely opposite ends of the spectrum. The reason why Planet Fitness charges you only $10 a month is because they know that you're not going to go. So I'm just curious as to like what you think. Where you think you're kind of seeing people and their spending habits, where you could probably point to, hey, you went out to this restaurant like 5 times this month and spent, you know, $1,200, but yet you have a giant problem spending like $100 on a gym membership. Like, where's the trade-off there? You know what I mean?
Yeah, dude, that it's such a good question. Because it's true. Like and what's actually funny is we actually don't even, I don't even want to say it. I don't necessarily even advertise that we do like the one-on-one coaching programs much anymore, because it is like interview based. Like I don't want to work with somebody unless they like fit the community. And not only are they going to have to be interested in making like real change, but I'm also going to have to like interview them and be like, hey dude, like, do you fit? And we've basically shifted to like, hey, come try us out for what I'll call our low ticket coaching offer, which is just working in our app, which is kind of like if you put MyFitnessPal on steroids and you have a bunch of like programs that are on demand for you, and then the ability to shoot me a question about anything that you have going on, nutrition, whatever, and I just respond to people within the app that exists.
Hmm.
Um, we have people in there, and then people that like really vibe with us, and they're like seeing results, and those things start to occur, and we interact with them. They come on some coaching calls, they see how our community kind of functions from the inside. Those are the people that we invite to come on to do those things, and then kind of start to accelerate some of their progress. But again, like you said, dude, that people will spend money on damn near everything except for their health. And it's sad because you're, at the end of the day, you're selling, if you want to break it down to like, like a, you're selling like burpees and movement for life, and you're selling like healthy food, and none of that stuff is flashy and sexy. It's, it's hard work. It's blood, sweat, and tears. It's shopping, and not buying Oreos all the time when you're in the store, or knowing how to meter that, and all of that stuff is never going to sell like Ozempic. Like there's people that I know that spent thousands and thousands of dollars on the easy pill injection of Ozempic to lose
Yeah.
60% of lean body mass, to lose, however many pounds of weight, with
Yep.
unknown side effects, by the way, for long-term health. And I'm not here to, criticize anybody's decisions, because it's, thankfully we live in America and you can make any decision that you want. But um, those people would rather spend those thousands and thousands of dollars on that than they would on a coach that could help them do it naturally. Like, why are we okay with altering the body in some crazy fashion before we've tried every other means? Like, it's the same reason why people jump to surgeries instead of doing physical therapy. Like, they're like, oh, this surgeon's going to be able to cut me open and do it, and I'm going to pop out and I'm going to be good to go. It's like, well, why not try every other type of intervention like before
Yeah.
you're doing that? People are fine with getting a gastric bypass to lose weight, and they're unable to, we could go on like all day for that. But again, like the
Yeah,
other
we could definitely
piece
go
of it,
down the tangents. Yep.
Oh my gosh, dude. The other piece of it too that I think is important to realize is like your goals are important. Like not everybody wants to, has the capacity to, or has the discipline to look like Mr. Olympia. And that's not built overnight for sure. You could start off with like, oh, I want to be like, I want to be ripped like Rambo and want to look like Mr. Olympia. And then when you realize like how much work that actually takes, you can kind of cater your expectations and change kind of what you're looking at. Because
Yeah.
one, those people are typically genetic freaks that are already have a leg up on most of the people around them. Two, they're outworking everybody else in the gym. Three, they've got the time, effort, and energy to do it. And they're sacrificing pretty much in every other facet of their life. So if you're somebody who never wants to go out to eat, you
Well, and
never want to
also,
drink.
yeah, I would give the caveat too. I mean, there is nobody on the Olympia stage that is natural. They are all on some sort of anabolic enhancer. Now, I mean, I don't judge at all because I mean, like that's what they've chosen to do. But in order
Yeah,
to
dude.
look that freakish, I think that some people think that they're going to look like a freak like that, which is absurd. Like you, and I could go on the tangent. Women especially, unfortunately, think that they're going to get
100%,
bulky
man.
if they start lifting weights. The I have been trying to get bulky my entire freaking life. I mean, it is absurdly hard. You cannot get, 22-inch biceps naturally. Like that just does not happen. You're going to have to inject yourself with some form of anabolic enhancer that is going to help you grow that big and that rapidly. I mean, I just feel like there's so many preconceived, misconceived notions of what fitness is, and you're right. I mean, to your point, we live in America. You can make these decisions, and thankfully, but also we live in America where everyone wants the easy button at all times.
Yeah.
You could get on Instacart right now and go do your grocery shopping for you. You don't even have to leave your damn house. It's just I don't know. There's a lot of things that are really eye-opening when you do start getting into when you do start prioritizing your health and fitness, you kind of realize that there's a lot of systems in place that make things much easier for people in their lives uh, that you know may or may not be good for you. And Ozempic is one of them right there. I mean, it's great for anybody who is diabetic because that's actually what the drug is for. It is not meant to be the easy button weight loss, injection that, quite frankly, if you don't change your habits while you're on it, then you're just going to go back to being this fat sack of shit at the end of of your time
Yeah.
taking the injections. It's really, really hard to get people to grasp that concept of, okay, well, you're on it for 3, 4, 5 months. However, you can't be on it for forever. You're never gonna like go on weight loss drugs for forever. You can't sustain that. Your body can't sustain that. And so,
Yeah. Like
if you don't change your
you,
habits while you're
it's
on
so
it,
funny.
you are gonna have you're gonna blow up like a balloon. Even worse. It's
Yeah,
just
it's so funny, dude. You talk about it and you get passionate about it too, and I love it because I do as well. And it's like you're a money guy, right? Then and I think the easiest thing to like relate it to for people to understand is like let's say you take somebody who's homeless and broke and you have them win the lottery. Where are they most likely going to end up? Homeless and broke again. Like
right
the
back at it.
reality is like your foundation of habit is that like just because you got gifted this thing or you happen upon this thing, you're gonna you, the norm is gonna occur. Like unless you're leveling up your behavior modification, I will stand on that behavior modification is the number one way to make lasting health change. And there is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. If you're somebody who is struggling to make a health change and you've tried this workout, this diet, this whatever, it's not the fact that you're not trying something. It's the fact that you're not actually changing the behavior and taking a second to really get some pointed coaching to make it happen. And for me, it took so long. My God, I think I was probably 25 or 26 before I figured out like, hey, like why am I beating myself around the bush? Like I can't figure out how to make this thing last and how to do it in a way that makes sense for me. And I wasn't training the way I wanted to. I wasn't eating in a way that made sense and that I could sustain. And the crash diets, all those things are real because people are trying to guarantee results in 30 days. Like, bro, you think that Arnold Schwarzenegger looks like Arnold Schwarzenegger because he did a 30-day fast or a 30-day workout or keto for a bit? No way,
Yeah.
dude. It's just like anybody on any sort of a change in health journey. It takes so much extra time. And that is so hard to give to the people, like you said, who want the microwave results in a crockpot world. And that's the reality
Yeah.
that we live in. And if you're able
Yeah.
to tell people that and you're able to give them tools to get there, I think you're going to be effective at like coaching people. But again, like you talk about, imagine, imagine you, when you turned 16, you were gifted one car, and that one car you had to drive for the rest of your life. Would you put money into that car? Would you change the tires? Would you change the oil? Would you rotate the tires? Would you get new tires? Would you put new brakes in? Would you care if it was rusting? Would you care if the fuel lines were operating effectively? Do you care if the transmission's going out? Like, that is the reality of your life with your body, dude. Like, people
What, and,
say
and,
that.
and, and another way with that same analogy, would you just let it sit out in your driveway for, weeks, months, years even on end, fully knowing that the engine isn't going to run very well if you're just going to leave it stagnant? Like,
Yeah, dude.
eventually the
That's what I'm
gasoline's going to
saying.
get too old. You know what I mean? Like you have to, that's a great analogy. And then also, aren't you going to drive it a little bit more conservatively, a little safer? Yeah, like I mean that's a great analogy right there. Like if you had to stick with one vehicle for the rest of your life, like you should take care of it. Same thing. I mean, your body is a vehicle. It's the way in which you move around. It's not. I don't know. Yeah, we could definitely get down some rabbit holes, man. I mean, there's just too many to go down at this point, and I think we're probably both voicing frustration with some of the pushback that you get as a coach because, dude, I mean. It really boils down to if somebody is ready to make a change and willing to make a change, then they will. They will start prioritizing it and they will see some of the errors in their ways in which they have prioritized stuff that does not matter. Um, like going out and, going to bars every weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Um, watching football. I love watching football. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm a huge Notre Dame fan. I mean, that's my team, right? But I mean, sometimes I'm not going to be able to watch them, and that's okay. You can always just go back and look at the score. Um, I don't know. Some people get too honed in on things that are not important, and I'm telling you, your body is super important. It's so important to take care of that you know, some people unfortunately realize when they're on their deathbed for 2 or 3 years at the end of their life, you know what I mean? They are struggling to do anything, and then it's a prolonged death, and it sucks to watch somebody go through that, and it's because they haven't prioritized any health or fitness in their life.
Yeah, man.
Um,
And that's the early intervention, right, that we talk about. And like, the US in particular is so poor about driving to reactive medicine, reactive this, reactive that. Like, you wait until it hurts to get out of bed and you can't bend down and touch your toes because your back is busted up before you go into the doctor. You wait until you're look in the mirror and you're like, don't even know what you look like, and you don't recognize the person looking back at you, and your confidence is in the trash can before you start to make a health intervention or a health change, or you seek out a coach like Gordy or myself. And that the reality is, like, you should not just want to live life, you should want to optimize, you should want to like have the healthiest thing that you could be. And our app is out there for people for less than $1 a day. Like, we've got the
dude,
tools, the things that are necessary for you. We currently, it's a $20 a month for people to pop in there and get in and get access to all these things to learn. I mean, we've got so many resources, programs. You can shoot me a message in there that's like, hey, I'm struggling with this, like, what do you think? And I'll probably send you a voice note back, or I'll send a message back to you, because you guys are the people in the app itself, that get to, that's what you're paying for. And I think that we're over delivering on that value there too. But you're also able to see, like, there's a whole group of people that are also wanting to do that. Like, you're not alone in that. There's people around the world. And I take some amount of like, it makes me happy to hop on a call with you, and I call it a call, hop on this podcast with you and be like, there's other people out there in the world that see this way. Like there's other people that are not, maybe they're not in your geographic location, like in
Yeah.
your neighborhood. Maybe they don't live like right down your block, but there's people that exist that have this similar philosophy. And, you know, I think it would be super cool if we could just all move to the same location and have like a
Yeah.
block party of
Yeah.
dads getting ripped in the front yard and team lifts and all these things. But like, that's the reality, is like, how do you cultivate that community? Because community helps people stay fit. Community helps people stay at it. There's a lot of people that, you know, that love going to a class and training with a group of people. Like my wife is one of those people who's like, she loves to go and train with other women that want to lift weights and move
Yep.
and be athletic
Yep.
and do all that stuff. And that's what keeps her coming back. So
Yep.
if you're one of those people, hit us up, man. We'll give you a free month anytime, anywhere.
Yeah.
Maybe we could get Gordy in there too, and he can start checking some stuff out too.
Yeah, my wife actually just came from a lifting class. You know, she loves that sort of thing,
See?
being around people and who are doing the same thing. You know, suffering amongst a group of people, right? Is kind of what you'd call it. Um, Real quick, a plug into what you were saying. Now, Blaze has, and for anybody listening, has an offering for coaching, and it is absurdly low priced, I would say, and probably a very high value. So if you are his friend, please don't ask for discounts or anything. Please support like smaller businesses, and please, you know, if you're someone who wants to support, definitely pay the price, because I guarantee you there's way more that goes into it in terms of development. And correct me if I'm wrong, Blaze, but a lot of development, a lot of time, a lot of energy, and a lot of passion goes into developing a business. So please, if you do want to support in that way, because I promise you it makes a big deal and a big difference when people are fully supportive like that. I mean, you know, we can go back to my social media talks. Like, dude, my family and friends don't even like some of my stuff. You know what I mean? You know, and like I know that they don't live their lives on social media, right? But I mean, you know, when I'm not getting very much traction or anything, it really stinks. Like when you're putting in a lot of time and energy, you kind of question, you know, what you're doing and what your message is. But you know, overall, you know, I would just be fully adamant to anybody who comes across Blue Chip to please just support them in any way that you can. Even just if you want to buy merch, I'm sure that you have some merch, right? That you could sell,
Oh,
you
dude,
know?
we've got some merch, man. We
Yeah.
got,
Yeah.
got some shirts and hats and mugs and stickers and
See,
you name
there
it.
you
Oh,
go.
dude, we've got a program actually at the end of the year where we're giving out for finishers. I guess we can wrap the call up here with that. Thank you for that too, by the way. I appreciate it. The reality is we give a month away for free because I want to prove the value to people that are questioning. And I will tell you that you are not alone in saying that the entrepreneurial space is kind of lonely. I think that your friends that like, they're your friends and then they see you do something like this and put yourself out there. And then sometimes they'll like, I don't want to say like sly remark, but like almost like make fun of you in a way for doing it because you had the guts to go out there and do something that like, you're putting yourself out there, you're showing somebody a peek behind the curtain of your life. And I just want to remind you, any other entrepreneurs out there, anybody who's doing something like this, that like, you're never going to have somebody doing better than you, like speak down to you. And like be rude to you. Like when have you seen somebody like, you know, doing something that's like not doing as well as you are, and you're like, man, that guy sucks. Like he's doing whatever. It's like, no, nobody is ever like being rude or critical or of anything of those people. You always want to like, you know, take that with a grain of salt. So realize like the people that are there, the saying that I think I like, that I have went back and forth with my buddy Pat Hanrahan, who I'm sure you know, is a
Oh
lion
yeah.
doesn't concern itself with the opinions of sheep, you know, and like that's the
Very,
reality.
very
It's like
true.
your the people that you hold close and their opinions matter for sure. Your family, your close friends, and some of those supporters do kind of ebb and flow. But if you are able to support, even by throwing a like your way or sharing a post that was helpful, people can really see and make a huge difference. But back to this quick thing, we're running a 50 days of fitness. I'll give a quick plug here at the end of the episode with these sweet blue chip patches. These are flight suit patches that we're running. You pull the Velcro off the back, you stick it onto your backpack. And we're ripping it at the end of the year. 50 days of fitness is going to be, I'll probably end up doing a full podcast about it, but 50 days of programming that I filmed in this very room. Actually, all you need is a set of dumbbells, and we're going to go through nutritional habits, sleep environment stuff, your ability to train. Every workout's going to be somewhere in the realm of 30 to 40 minutes, dedicated rest periods, ways that you can kind of optimize. So, and again, that is going to kick off at the end of the year. I believe we're starting about a month from today, November the 12th. Go into our website, check it out. And you guys can get into that program, but we're super excited to do that. And then for anybody who completes the program, we'll ship one of these to you to cap off your year. And then you'll be part of the few that have capped off with the 50 days of fitness. So that's going to be our end of the year program that we're kicking off here.
Dude, there you go. Yeah. Look at that, man. I love it.
Thanks,
I love it. I want to get one of those.
Yeah, dude, come on. We'll get you in.
As long as you count my high rocks day as my work day.
We count it, dude. We count it. The funny thing is actually that in this program, we've built in something that I think is kind of unique, where at the beginning of the program, you're going to pick 5 days in which you don't have to worry about training or eating the way you want. The reason for that, I think, is it's important for people to be like, oh, maybe they're Thanksgiving people and they go super hard and they enjoy this thing with family and friends and they're able to lean into that. Or maybe they've got a work party that they want to like, hey, I kind of want to check out and take this time. The holidays are really tough. I know that like stressful for some people, really fun for others. Sometimes we like get in our position where we kind of spiral through those, you call it month and a half, 2 months. And then we start on January 1st and we're like, oh, my New Year's resolution is to get into the gym and get healthy. And it's like, well, if you do 50 days of fitness and you do it the right way, even if you show up for half of the workouts, you're rolling into next year with momentum, and you're not one of those people that are just getting into the gym. You're one of those people that's going to continue on a trajectory of consistency, which is what we're really looking to do. So that is
building.
That's my
habits.
plug for that.
Yeah, that's huge. And I guess one of the last things that I wanted to point out, that like what you said, if anybody wants to follow yourself or myself, a free way to support what we're doing, because we both put stuff out on social media, just hit the like button. That it literally is so free, and it takes like, I don't know, a millisecond in order to do that. Even if you don't want to watch all of our videos, you can just hit the like button and we will appreciate it. I promise.
Yeah, man. And know that people care about what you're putting out too, dude, for real. Like the stuff I was telling you about with the entrepreneurial space being kind of lonely is true. So I appreciate what you do. I know that there's other dads out there that appreciate what you do, setting the example, doing the thing. And I'm stoked to continue to support you guys, and hopefully we can hit one of these races at some point, and we'll see if we can get in the low hour, maybe even break an hour type of times we're talking, we can see how that.
We'll do it. They're going to come back to Miami. We're going to have to do it. Oh yeah.
Watch out.
Yeah. We'll have to team up in Miami. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, please, anything that I can help you out with, please let me know. I'd love to support anything that you could use from me. And likewise, for anybody listening, please go support Blaze at Blue Chip Athletic Club. Hopefully you already do if you're listening to the podcast, or if you're just somebody who's following me, please go support Blaze. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, likewise, man. Go check out Gordy. We'll leave all this stuff in the show notes. And for those of you guys that made it this long, thanks a lot for tuning in. Again, we got 50 days of fitness. All the other people that we work with will be in the show notes. And then for those of you that are looking to level up health and wellness, come to us, come to Gordy. My biggest thing is that go to somebody and stop treating your car that you get for the rest of your life like a trash can. That's what we'll leave you with. So you don't stop playing because you get old because you stop playing. We'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.
There we go.